Big businesses look to us for specialist insurance solutions. Do you? Over 80 of the top 100 JSE-listed companies trust us to protect their businesses.
Good day and welcome to the latest installment of the Role of Insurance in the Economy series. My name is Fifi Peters. Now, throughout the series, we look at different sectors or industries and the challenges that they are facing when not insured for unforeseen circumstances. In this episode specifically, the pandemic and the effects of climate change on businesses created an opportunity to learn and adapt. As the saying goes, prevention is much better than cure. So we're welcoming back Carla Jordan, the CEO of Emerald Africa, who will take us through a new product that can assist corporates for the unforeseeable future. Carla, good to have you back in studio with us.
Thank you, Fifi.
So let's talk about this new product then, an interesting product. We're talking about Emerald's pandemic protection cover. So talk to us about the main features of this particular cover and exactly how it will work.
Sure. It's actually a product that was brought to the global market by Munich Re. They have an epidemic team working out of London, and they first developed this product for the global market. They approached Santam about a year or so ago and said would they be interested in bringing this exclusively into the South African market. When we looked at the product, we realized that it was perhaps more suited for the corporate environment. And we undertook a project with the Munich Re team to develop the product specifically, or tailor-make the product specifically for the South African markets with bespoke wordings and getting all the necessary approvals that we needed to get the product up and running. So that's how it sort of came to be. So we have the Munich Re team, which is not only insurance professionals, but they also have epidemiologists, and they have a whole lot of different people involved in building these sort of bespoke products. So we have an exclusive right to the product in the South African market, and this product will basically replace, I guess, what was the initial or the original pre-COVID non-damage a part of the policy.
Okay.
You'll know that post-COVID, of course, there's no more non-damage cover, and specifically for business interruption. And so this product will sort of take place of that for those companies that want to perhaps build a different sort of resilience and more sustainability in the face of another pandemic.
Okay, so it's got similarities rather to the business interruption insurance cover that we all learnt about for the first time, probably to the scale during the pandemic when a whole lot of companies were knocking on your doors trying to get cover, and as the insurance industry you were also overwhelmed by the huge demand of businesses and the nuances in the clauses that actually resulted in that cover being withdrawn by most insurance in the industry. So similarities, but what are the main differences, would you say?
So that's a bit of a weird, it's because the covers are different, I think, and that's where it comes in, but the triggers are different as well.
Sure.
So the trigger of this product is the World Health Organization declaring a public health emergency of international concern, and that would then trigger the policy. And based on that, a client would then look at for example, their business interruption or their increased cost of workings, or whatever happens as a result of that pandemic. And you all know from COVID that different actions were taken in different countries at different times. So what happens in South Africa in terms of a future pandemic and lockdowns and inability of non-essential services to trade and things like that might be completely different to even that of a neighboring country.
Sure.
So a company's ability to claim through this product would be bespoke to their environment. And I think that's where this product differs a little bit, is that you don't have to say, today the World Health Organization declares a pandemic and tomorrow it's triggered and then you have to claim. You can choose your period, in your period of insurance where your worst losses occur.
Okay.
And for example, that will help companies. When I talked about sustainability, you know, a lot of companies, they had to put their retrench people, they had to put people on furloughs, they had to do all of those things. Here you have an opportunity to be able to still pay your employees. You have an ability to still be able to run essential services out of your company, to make sure that you have a company that's a little bit more sustainable in the face of another pandemic.
Sure. Essentially, you have the opportunity to ensure that business goes on as usual as is possible under those circumstances.
Absolutely.
But Carla, let's just actually maybe flesh out the cover in itself in terms of exactly what corporates who are listening to this conversation and thinking, okay, I want to hear more, need to know about what they are covered for. Essentially, what bang do they get for this?
So, I mean, it would cover all, as I mentioned, the increased cost of workings, business interruption, all of the things that would generally be covered under your business interruption non-damage part of a policy, you would be able to claim through this policy. Even, for example, companies that saw no decrease really in turnover, but had increased expenses in terms of for example, cleaning equipment or masks or things like that, would be able to claim for those increased costs from this policy.
Companies in South Africa only, is that who this is targeting, or elsewhere where you also do businesses in Emerald?
So primarily companies within South Africa to start with, although we can offer it to companies outside of South Africa throughout the rest of the African continent and the Middle East. In line with our territorial scope. But to start with, we'll be focusing on South Africa and South African businesses.
Okay, and exactly when? I mean, you did mention the fact that this product is not currently available in the South African market, so when are you launching it?
We are launching on the 31st of July and the 1st and 2nd of August in Johannesburg, Durban and Cape Town, respectively, to the corporate broker markets. We have actually asked the corporate brokers as well if they have any strategic clients that they think this product would appeal to, you know, invite them to the launches as well and get to hear from the team on the ground as to how the product works in a lot more detail than perhaps I can give here.
Okay.
But you know, come and listen to really what it's about and how it can help their businesses and their clients for the future.
I think perhaps some of the viewers who will be watching this will be wondering, okay, you know, this is fantastic. You definitely need insurance against an unforeseeable event, particularly to the scale of a pandemic. Companies that were severely impacted by the pandemic, that is. But at what cost? So perhaps take us through the pricing model of this.
So it would be a bespoke pricing model, and it would depend on the occupancy of the client. So I can't sit here and say it's going to cost you R1 for every 10 rands of cover. It would really be a bespoke, it's a bespoke product, and it is tailored to different occupancies. So perhaps, you know, those clients in the retail space would have a different pricing model to those in, for example, a telecom space.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Ultimately, the claims process, perhaps if you can just outline how that would likely work with such a product like this. I mean, I know you mentioned the fact that when should the WHO trigger that a pandemic it has been declared, you don't necessarily have to, you know, call up your insurer the next day. You can just wait until the pain really starts kicking in your business. But with claims, what should people who are thinking about this product know about that process?
I think one of the really attractive parts of this product is the claims process. Because it's a parametric trigger, the claims process becomes a lot easier and a lot faster. So, you know, whereas in COVID, some of the claims rolled on for a few years to get to finalization, here it would be an affidavit because you're buying a specific amount of cover. So if you buy 10 billion rands worth of cover, for example, you just have to have an affidavit stating that this is how your business has been affected, and you will get your claims payment within a matter of days.
Okay.
So I think that's a really attractive part of it, proposition for the corporate client, is that it wouldn't be a 2 or 3 year protracted process through legal courts to get a claim paid. This is a much easier system.
Okay, so clearly lessons learned from the previous pandemic then.
I think so, and yeah, and who knows when the next pandemic is going to be. I think that's
for sure. But
question.
isn't it from a Santam point of view then to provide such a cover for such a bespoke or perhaps a unique event?
Yes.
Your financial standing and your ability to do so. I know you mentioned the partnership with Munich Re, but perhaps for your shareholders, just talk them through Santam's financial standing in being able to operate this project.
Sure. So Emerald will retain some risk on this product, but the risk is limited to the group risk appetite. The product is a reinsurance product. We are working, as I mentioned, with Munich Re and New Re, and it's a facultative product that we're bringing into the market. So although we do retain some risk in the Emerald sort of Santam environment, it is primarily reinsured into the global markets.
Okay, so I imagine that the team is quite excited and everything is being prepared for a launch date, which is just not too far away, in fact being around the corner.
Yes. Our staff have already been through some training sessions, and the Munich Re team will be here for the launches and are doing some in-person training as well with our team, just to make sure that everybody knows exactly what we're selling to the markets.
All right, yeah, it's an interesting proposition, particularly coming from where we are coming from, and the legal tussle that we did see between the insurance industry and the companies that tried to claim under the previous business interruption insurance cover. So it will certainly be interesting to see how this lands and how the market does receive it. But Carla, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks so much for your time, of course, bringing us to the end of this episode. Once again, thank you to Carla Jordan. She's the CEO of Emerald Africa. Thanks to her for joining me for her insights on the pandemic and the effects of climate change on businesses. From myself, Fifi Peters, it's a goodbye for now.